Hello and welcome back to Random Tek. On a previous episode, we looked at how to connect a vintage Apple printer to a modern computer and be able to print from it. On this episode, we're going to go one step forward and connect a vintage Apple printer to a modern iPhone. Why? Because it's random. The printer which we will be using today is an Apple StyleWriter 2200. The StyleWriter 2200 was a portable printer which came out in 1995. It was Apple's second portable printer, the first being the original portable StyleWriter, released in 1993. While the original one was a black and white only printer, the 2200 was a color printer. Unlike the majority of Apple's printers, which were beige, the portable StyleWriters were gray to match the PowerBook series of the time. As with the majority of Apple's printers, which were actually just rebranded third-party printers, the StyleWriter 2200 was no exception, being a rebranded and slightly modified Canon portable BJC-80 printer. This fact would be key later on in the video. Just as an FYI, the next part will be about me getting the printer working, so if you want to skip to the part of getting it to work with an iPhone, please go to the timestamp listed in the video and below. So let's have a look at mine, which I picked up for $10 off a local classified ad. We can see the overall condition of the printer is fairly good, with it missing a couple of its bottom rubber feet. Having a look around the back, we can see a 13-volt DC power input on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we see Apple's standard 8-pin micro-DIN serial connector, which was standard at the time. In the middle, we see a blank screw hole. This is where the battery pack accessory would have connected to make the printer truly portable at the time. Opening up the top, we see the cover being the paper holder. This printer was capable of holding 30 sheets of paper. Opening up the ink cartridge cover, we can get a quick glimpse of the inside, which looks pretty standard for most inkjet printers. Plugging it in, we see it come to life and make some noises. Now let's have a look at the ink cartridges. I knew these were going to be small, but wow, are they ever so tiny. I don't think I've ever seen an ink cartridge so small. Comparing the black ink side by side with the cartridge from the StyleWriter 2 printer, the difference is massive. We also noticed that the previous owner was using Canon branded ink cartridges, which is not surprising as Apple branded ones have long since been discontinued. Unlike some printers like the StyleWriter 2, which the ink cartridge and printer head are one unit, in this printer, those are separate items. We can see that the printer head has definitely been used and looks pretty gummed up. I gave it a quick clean up with some isopropyl alcohol, but it's definitely still not number one. Now you can still buy third-party ink cartridges for this printer for just a few bucks each, which is very reasonable. However, no modern print head exists, so we will be stuck using old stock. I wanted to try a test print, so I put the new black cartridge in the printer head and installed it into the printer. To initiate a test print, you just hold down the power button at startup. So let's see what happens. Absolutely nothing. This was not too surprising based on how dirty the printer's head still looked. So I bought a new old stock printer head with ink to see if that would work. It looks like we've made some ever so slight progress. Now there is a print head cleaning button to the right of the power button. So after repeatedly using the self-cleaning process and test printing, we can see even more progress being made. Unfortunately, it was at this point I ran into another problem. All of a sudden, the printer's error light kept coming on, and I was unable to continue testing. I looked through various manuals and online forums to try and clear the error, but nothing seemed to work. It was at this point that I stumbled onto RetroHack's website, where the individual was running into similar error as I was. It turned out for them the printer ribbon running from the main printer cartridge to the logic board got corroded somehow. Sure enough, taking a close look at mine, you can see some corrosion around some of the pins. Their solution was to replace the cable with a new one. Seeing how the StyleWriter 2200 is a bit more on the rarer side, they got a donor from the original Canon BJC80 printer, which is what I would do too. Looking at the Canon printer, you can see that the outside is virtually the same except for the data port, which is a parallel printer connector. Opening up the lid, we can see the inside looks a bit more different, featuring a couple more buttons and lights. Otherwise, it's the exact same thing. So let's open it up and remove the cable. There were two embedded clips on the bottom locking the top and bottom case together. Unfortunately, it was too deep for my screwdriver, so I ended up using a pair of scissors to reach it. Not the best option, but again, this was a donor printer, so if the case got a bit dinged up, no big loss. Opening it up, we get a clear look at the cable, but more disassembly is needed in order to remove it. So sit back and have a watch as I try to figure this out as I go. After long blast, we have retrieved the cable, which we can see looks nice and clean. Now to repeat the process again with the StyleWriter. This time, I got the right size screwdriver to unclip it. Here is a look at the logic board for those who are interested. After putting everything back together, let's see if it worked. Good news is that the cable appears to be working as there are no error messages. Bad news, the ink seems to have dried again in the cartridge head. Taking inspiration from the Retro Hacks website again, I decided to put the printer head in an ultrasonic cleaner to see if I could dislodge all the fine particles of dried ink. After 5 minutes at 50 degrees Celsius, let's have a look. And boy, do they look brand new. After letting everything dry, I attempted a reprint. I would call this a success. So now to actually use the printer. First we need to connect the printer to a computer using a keyspan adapter. Now installing the driver and getting it to print from a modern computer is the exact same process as I covered in my previous video. So I won't go over that process again here. Instead, we will be going over how to print from an iPhone. This process is actually relatively straightforward. Basically, we need the printer to be broadcast as an AirPrint compatible printer for any iOS or iPadOS device to see. Luckily, there are a few third-party programs that will do this for us. One of the original ones is HandyPrint, which while it still works for older devices, as of iOS 17, Apple has changed the protocol for AirPrint, which HandyPrint has never been updated for. So we will use Printopia 3 for this. Downloading and running the program, we see a screen which lets us select all the printers which we would like to become wireless via AirPrint. We can select our StyleWriter 2200 printer, and that's it. Now if we go on our mobile device and try printing, we will see the printer as an option. So let's try printing this test page. Calling this slow would be an understatement, because this print took a total of about 4.5 minutes to print. Not that far off from the official specs of it being able to print 0.3 color sheets per minute. Now let's compare this to my modern Epson printer. Once started, the printer completed the job in less than a minute. Comparing the print quality, the StyleWriter actually did a reasonably good job, especially for it being about 30 years old. but clearly printing quality has improved vastly over the years, as seen with Epson. So that concludes another episode. Let me know in the comments if you've ever used an Apple StyleWriter 2200 and what your experience with it was. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.